Before I tell you, I will tell you that while you were talking there, I poured myself a large glass of Fever Tree Mexican lime soda made with yuzu juice from Japan. And while you were talking, because you were being slightly dull, I read the leaflet that came with it.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Are you there, Moriarty?
I am indeed.
Excellent. How are you?
I can't reply in kind because I'm vaguely aware of which you speak, but not...
I think it's a game where you roll up a newspaper and you say, a party game, and everybody's blindfolded. No, you're blindfolded with the rolled up newspaper, and you say, are you there, Moriarty? And people have to say yes, and then you aim the rolled up newspaper at where they were speaking, and they've got to keep out of the way of your rolled up newspaper, I think.
Wasn't he Sherlock Holmes' nemesis?
Well, he was, but I'm not sure there's any particular connection between the two. I mean, I don't think they're the only two Moriartys in the world, put it like that.
Oh, back in the day when we had simpler games.
Well, it's Christmas, really. It's Christmas. I can't remember the last time I played that, but I think my parents used to say, are you there, Moriarty, as a kind of like, like, are you there kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So, in the last 3 days since we spoke...
Yes, you go first. You go first. I'll just preface it by telling you I'm absolutely freezing, whereas the reason we only spoke 3 days ago is because it was so beltingly hot this time last week.
I know, it's bonkers, isn't it?
I'm cold, Nicola, and I found the boiler, but I can't turn it on. I'm cold.
Oh, God. Have you got any blankies?
I've got so many blankies, I bet I can barely move. I'm sitting on a blankie, actually. More of which later. You go.
Well, I'm afraid, because what our lovely listeners won't know, of course, is that we had to reschedule because of the heat. Yeah. And as such, we've only had 3 days between when we last spoke. Yeah.
To create something to tell you, listeners.
All I've managed to come up with on my little notes here are Holby City's back on.
Oh, no, that's pathetic. Try a bit harder.
Well, I can try a bit harder. Ooh, sad news about 360 elephants dying in Botswana. Nobody knows what from. And they're investigating at the moment.
That is sad. I didn't know about that.
It is, and it's happened in the last month as well.
And actually, we cannot spare 360 elephants.
No, we cannot. We can't even spare one. And they definitely know it's not poaching because the trunks are still intact. They're thinking it's some sort of neurological problem, whether it's in the ground or whether it's like some sort of virus. They don't know. It's not COVID-19 apparently.
How many did you say? 360?
360 in a month.
That's a lot. I've got a lot of friends who are very, very keen on elephants. They'll be mortified about this.
I know. It's absolutely it's very distressing, and it's just literally come on the news today. But I learned about it on Twitter a couple of days ago. But so that is a worry. But no, Holby City is an interesting one because. Holby City is never an interesting one.
It's
not about the plot I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the fact that suddenly a load of episodes have come out that obviously were filmed before COVID-19, and because they're all sort of, there's no mention of it for a start. And so they've obviously perhaps had editors working on things they filmed before. And I'm wondering what both the hospital dramas are going to do, and indeed ambulance and things like that, what they're going to do when they're back. Is
ambulance a real life thing?
It is, yes.
You see, ambulance, I'd mention it. The dramas, I wouldn't.
Well, you just carry on as normal.
I would, because there's no way to do it without offending people.
No, but there's no way to film without social distancing and masks and things being used. So
I think that's why they've trotted out these few episodes, because I think the TV company's running a bit thin.
Yeah, they must be. Oh, talking of which, I did start watching that thing you recommended, Staged, with...
Yes.
Oh, it's so funny, isn't it?
It is good, isn't it? And actually, funnily enough, in talking about sort of adaptive telly, it's brilliant because they've made Zoom work and it's only sort of 15 to 20-minute episodes, which is sort of about my attention span during this, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm thoroughly enjoying that. And I when you said parody, I thought, I don't like things like that.
No, self-parody. They take the piss out of themselves. So they sort of play larger-than-life versions. David Tennant's very whiny.
Yes, yeah, it's very well done, and it made me laugh a lot because I was just sitting there thinking, well, typical of the elder aging actors where they've got young blonde girlfriends or wives or whatever, and then just as I was thinking that, one of their wives popped up and showed them up to be the nincompoops that they were.
Yes. The wives were quite unforgiving in a good way.
Yeah, it was good. So no, I highly recommend it. But I've played poker with Pete. What else have I done this week?
Oh, yes.
I've been busy. I've been really busy, and I'll tell you about those things in the other sections. But I haven't actually been anywhere apart from to the co-op.
Well, I've been loads of places. Do you want to hear my news?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so apart from this morning when I let you down for an extra 3 hours, it's my energy levels have picked up a lot. It's my second week in Clapham, and I managed to walk to and from the garage without having to have a sit down twice.
Whoa, well done.
I know, it's impressive, isn't it? And on Tuesday, I went to East Sheen to recce the house I'm going to live in from Sunday for 2 months, and it's owned by a chap I've known since the 60s, and his wife I've known since the 80s. And it was lovely to see. We didn't hug, and we didn't get any closer than say it takes to hand somebody a cup of coffee without touching. But we sat at their kitchen table and we had a nice chat. We have in common Johnny, who was widowed, when Catherine died. Do you remember Catherine dying at the beginning of the lockdown? Yeah. So we have Johnny in common, and they've been down to see him, as have my brother and his wife. So I got lots of Johnny news, which was sad, but nice to be able to talk to people about it. Then yesterday, Karen, the woman that runs the travel agency I started, came round, and I did proposition her with coming round when I was in Clapham in January, but she'd had a skiing accident and had to go to hospital instead. Oh, we had such a lovely chat yesterday. We cried, we laughed. She was thrilled to be able to pick my brains. I was thrilled that she thought of me as a mentor. Her oldest daughter, her children are called Alice and Elsie. They're both teenagers, and Alice, the older, is going to Oxford in September, October. And her husband, Graham, who started a business called Trees for London, and then it morphed into Trees for Cities, which is about, well, I think that's obvious what those businesses are about. But he went on from there to they're both very green, Karen and Graham, and he sold his business and made a life-changing sum of money. So to be able to hear her news face-to-face and see somebody you've known. I mean, she was my employee in the early 90s, and we still feel close and connected now. And she is a born-again Christian. She's very religious, and Graham less so, and I don't go to. She knows I don't go to church, and she once asked me, where do you get your strength from, if not from God, Judith? And I said, well, grit, and the grit came up yesterday as well, and it was lovely to have her here. And I just was so proud of her, really, and what their family have achieved. But anyway, in the recce, there's going to be a lot of garden watering. There's a lot of vegetables over there. There's courgettes, runner beans, those slimy things we talked about the other day, beginning with A. Aubergines, and figs, and it's going to be like ready, steady cook when I'm over there.
Figs are fantastic.
I know. Well,
halloumi cheese.
Hang on a minute. I've lived in a house with a fig tree before. The figs never get to the table because they drop and birds eat them. But anyway, figs. And my nephew and his girlfriend, who bought a house together just as lockdown started, are about a mile from here. They're coming to see me this afternoon. So I've had a spectacularly sociable week with people I love. Now, this means when the nephew's been, I'll have done him and I've done Claire. So I've only got my brother, my sister-in-law, and my youngest nephew to go. And I've done the whole pack.
Well, I'm impressed.
I am impressed too. Now, I haven't finished talking about things I'm impressed about. I had a very busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday playing catch up, with all the hot stuff that I had to reschedule from last week. And I also did my accounts. I wasn't in the mood this month because I've got another hard kitchen chair, which is why I'm sitting on the fluffy rug. So I had to do it in 3 sessions because my bum hurts, Nicola, if I sit too long in a hard chair.
Is there no portable office chair you can collapse?
No, but there is in East Sheen, and there's also a lovely place to work, which is, believe it or not, a rather glamorous extension that's all about the laundry. So it's got the washing machine and it's got the airing cupboard and it's got something else, but it's got this light in the ceiling like a diamond, and this light comes in over the table. And I went, I think I might work in here. And she said, this is a lovely place to work. And I saw she'd got an office chair and a printer. I can move the office chair from her office. It's not very far.
Ah, very good.
Yes, I'm looking forward to an office chair.
Oh yes, because honestly, I've got an office chair. Phoebe generously gave me hers because sitting on hard chairs just kills the backs of my thighs.
Can't be done.
No.
And I was sitting on the comfy chairs in the living room just now, and I thought, I've got to go to the kitchen in the hard chair to talk to Nicola. So pathetic, isn't it?
Hashtag first world problems.
And the funny thing I was thinking was, well, I could bring the laptop in here, but then I've got no plug to plug it in. And then once I was sitting here waiting for you, I noticed the plug wasn't plugged in anyway. So I could have had a battery failure in either place.
Right, so what has fueled your fire?
No, you go first, because I went first last week.
Well, again, I was struggling a little bit, and then the main thing I've dredged up is I don't know what it is. I'm supposed to be doing a lot of promotion for this next 5-day challenge, which starts on Monday, and I'm really fired up about the 5-day challenge because I'm re-recording the videos and I've trimmed it down a bit so it's not quite so intense. The actual promotion of it, when I'm told to do promotion, I don't want to do it. It's really weird.
Well, do you know what I like about this story? Now you know what it feels like to be one of your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
No wonder Irene says, no, I could do that, but I don't think I will.
No. And so, but the one thing that has got me going is I actually pushed through a tiny little barrier to using Restream.io. So yesterday I got over myself and I went live on as many platforms as I possibly could, all for the princely sum of $19, which was really quite impressive. It goes to Twitter, it goes to Facebook, any page and or group and your personal profile that you want, all at once. It goes to YouTube.
So do you have to choose, or can you have all three of those Facebook options?
Oh no, you can have as many pages and groups as you like.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yep. You can go to YouTube, you go to Twitch, and you can go to Twitter via Periscope. Periscope? Yes, I think so.
Yes.
And so anyway, I just loaded up every single one I could possibly think of and went live and whittled on for 18 minutes, but that was because people kept popping up and giving me. But the thing is, I didn't want to do it, and I still wasn't convinced, but one person popped up and gave me 2 fabulous testimonials that I would not have had if I hadn't gone live. So she said, you know, within 10 minutes of talking to you, you saved me £500 a month. And then she popped up a bit later and said, when I was talking about becoming a consultant, and she said, yes, she said, I was earning £1,500 a month as a consultant. And I've just topped my first £20,000 month after talking to you.
Brilliant.
I've
got quite a lot of my US forums use Restream.io.
Yeah, and well, it's just so efficient, and it really does make going live so much, more leveraged. But it made me realise afterwards that unless you are visible, you don't get things like testimonials. And it's only because she happened to see me going live and popped up and said those things. She'd never thought to send that testimonial to me. So it was.
Well, I think one of the things that you and I are quite good at is when we see somebody say something nice about us, we go, "Can we use that as a testimonial?"
Yeah, I did.
Can I put it in the podcast? I'm all over that like a rash.
Yeah, and but the best thing is you get to take a screenshot of it in situ, so it's authentic. And now you have to be a bit careful with that. Let me just tell our listeners, because when you feature a screenshot from Facebook on any page at all, whether it's an opt-in page or a sales page, you have to put a fairly strenuous disclaimer at the bottom of your page to say that you're not representing that you're part of Facebook or your.
So Facebook insist on the disclaimer. Is that what you're saying?
Do, indeed. Before you, and actually that could have been one of the other things that pissed Facebook off about me, because I didn't know that. And
it's endless, Nicola.
Well, really,
the number of things you've confessed to that could possibly piss off Facebook is endless.
It is, and funnily enough, have you seen that everyone's working to, all the big companies are working to a 1-month ban of Facebook advertising?
Yeah, they pulled all their ads. They've pulled their sponsorship. Well, good.
Well, that's good, and the share price dropped quite dramatically yesterday.
Yeah, it does have an impact on us as a user. That, don't forget that it makes Facebook vulnerable.
To what? Takeover by
just disappearing.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that geared me up a bit. So a bit of kit, a bit of technology generally does the trick for me. And
to be fair, you've always loved a bit of new stuff like that. Yeah.
My marketing is largely driven by new technology.
I'm very interesting to hear you say, and not for the first time, that you're tiring of promotion.
Well,
or struggling with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's not that I'm tiring of promotion per se. It's just that being a creator, it's very difficult to say the same things over and over again. I mean, if you look at what Gary Vee's saying, he has grown and evolved a bit in his message, and he talks about this quite openly. He says, you know, it is tough to keep saying the same thing over and over again and find different ways to say it. But you've got to remember that new people coming to you have never heard you before. They don't know what your stories are. They've never heard your tales of the hotel and things like that, you know. So I think that's what I've been struggling with is how to make it fresh. But having a new product, i.e. a 5-day challenge to promote, makes it easier for me because it's short, sharp bursts of activity rather than having to do things strenuously ongoing. And if I just did 3 challenges a year and got 10 new clients from it, then that would be me sorted for the year. So
well, it's a system as well.
Yes, and systems are good, very good.
Well, dull but good.
Yeah, well, exactly. Creators find systems dull, but also systems
What we do
free.
Perhaps you need a mechanic to help.
Well, that's, you know, I do. I've got my VA who will take on anything at any time. But I always feel, and this is nonsense, obviously, that in order to tell a VA what to do, you need to know how to do it yourself.
So, yeah, you need to make a system out of it so you can teach them. And you have done that in the past.
I have, yes. But it is nonsense because any decent VA would be able to make their own system.
Well, and then improve your own.
Yes, exactly. What about you then? What's fueled?
Well, before I tell you, I will tell you that while you were talking there, I poured myself a large glass of Fever Tree Mexican lime soda made with yuzu juice from Japan. And while you were talking, because you were being slightly dull, I read the leaflet that came with it. And it says, see if you can see what I'm missing here. It says, fill a large glass full of cubed ice. Well, I didn't do that. Then it says a 50ml measure of premium vodka. Then top up with Fever Tree Mexican lime soda, garnish with a fresh lime wedge. And for an alternative pairing, try it with premium tequila. Well, you'll be pleased to hear that at 1:17 on Thursday lunchtime, I have neither premium vodka nor premium tequila in my lime soda.
I didn't suspect for a minute you'd be doing that. I really didn't. I like the sound of this, though, and they definitely don't have that flavour in my local co-op.
Well, I've come from the posh Ocado, doesn't it? But I do love the whole Fever Tree brand. I'm working my way through their entire range, and I haven't hit a bum one yet, to be honest.
No, I do like just their plain tonic. It's nicer than.
It is. It's absolutely delicious, and it's got the old COVID beating quinine in it.
Oh, very good. Well, yes, very good.
Now, so what's fueled my fire? Tut on Tuesday. I'm endlessly talking to you on here about how I've got to do it my way, and I can't follow your systems, and it's all too boring, and I won't stick to your policy, and I don't like your formulae, and I'm always whinging on about that. And on Tuesday, Tut gave me permission for that. He said, do it your way, Judith, and you'll win the attention and the respect of the whole world. Not that you need it. Respectfully, the universe. And the PS is, Judith, unique always wins, which he's put in quotes. And I put next to when he says, not that you need it. No, that's true. I don't need it. It's not why I do it. I just can't help myself. I don't want to do it any other way. But it was lovely to get that kind of, yeah, go on, Judith, be Judith,
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a good one. It was a corker. And Cherie picked it up as well. And I said, Cherie, I'm going to read this one to Nicola on Thursday on the podcast. So she said it reminded me of Small Business, Big Magic, which is what I was teaching them, of course, is to do it their way.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now focus of the week then.
Yes, Wayne Dyer's 12 Steps to Simplicity. What I thought you would do is read the 12 Steps to Simplicity to us, and then we're going to take 3 each, aren't we?
Well, yes, I would do, but unfortunately...
you haven't got it.
I haven't got it, and you were snoozing until I couldn't ask you.
Right, I will read it then. Number 1, unclutter your life. And what I loved about that one was that it was our first ever podcast about decluttering. Number 2, clear your calendar of unwanted and unnecessary activities and obligations. 3, be sure to keep your free time free. 4, take time for meditation and yoga. 5, return to the simplicity of nature. 6, put distance between you and your critics. 7, take some time for your health. 8, play, play, play. 9, slow down. 10, do everything you can to eschew debt. 11, make an attempt to free yourself from placing a price tag on everything you have and do. And 12, remember your spirit. Now, it's a lovely little meme that I shared on Facebook, and you suggested it might make a focus. It's from thetappingsolution.com, and I'll put the picture with the list in the show notes. Now, you said you were going to do 2, 5, and 9. Do you remember what they are? No appointments in the diary. 2, clear your calendar of unwanted and unnecessary activities and obligations. Do you want to start with that one, or do you want me to read you 5 and 9?
Yeah, so start with that one. Let's do one. One each.
Yeah. Oh, good idea, Snowy.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I've always felt like that. Even when I put in reminders to do certain things on certain days, it makes me feel stressed. So it's a bit of a difficult one, that one, because obviously one doesn't want to forget to do things that are important, but having lots of recurring things, lots of different coloured boxes in my calendar makes me feel, and especially when they start beeping at me in the middle of other things to remind me to do things, it just makes me feel dreadful. So what I prefer to do is cram everything into one day and get into the groove and the habit of it. So, for example, we do own it at 10 o'clock, although we might change that. Then I do my client calls at 11 o'clock. Then I edit own it if I can, and then if I'm not getting pulled away by anything external. And then in the afternoon now I have a call with Andy and Paul. So I like to cram everything into one day, know that I have to be in one place at one day, and then the rest of the week is free to do whatever I feel like, whenever I feel like, and I like that a lot. That's what makes me feel free, and it always has done.
Okay.
It also meant when travelling, I knew that, as long as I didn't travel on a Thursday, I was free to travel any other day.
And say something to me about the relationship between freedom and simplicity.
Well, the more simple you can make your life, the freer
it feels. Yeah. Brilliant.
And that's from someone who really, I was a demon with Stephen Covey's day planner, year planner, month planner, week planner. I used to love all that when I had kids, and that was the only way to keep sane, to be honest, was be very organised. But now I don't need to look after anyone else. I find it much more freeing to be.
I also think there's a relationship between those two facts, which is when you learn to be disciplined by using something like that, later on you can trust yourself to be freer.
Yes. The thing I did find myself looking at a year planner kind of diary that Chris Barrow was recommending, because obviously he loves all that stuff, and it was a nice bound thing, and it came in a nice colour, and I found myself thinking, oh, that looks fine.
I wish I could find a reason to buy any of those planners, but I can't.
And then I thought it's a complete waste of force.
Absolutely, stationary lust. That's all it is.
It was stationary porn, exactly.
Before we move on to my first one, you use the word stress in there, and I would like to address this to the listeners. If we have an expert who listens or a consultant who listens if you're an expert or a consultant on the topic of stress, would you wave at me via ownitthepodcast.com/contact? Does that work, Nicola?
Yes, yeah.
Because I'd like to do an episode on stress, because it means different things to different people. It makes up quite a lot at the moment because of what we discussed last week, which is these invisible stresses that we've all, and doctors use the word stress to explain everything. I'd love to have a listener guest who's a stress expert come on and talk to us about it. So I don't want somebody to say, no, I know somebody. I want you to be a listener guest, ideally, about stress. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, and also known as anxiety, because
yes.
I never thought I was an anxious person.
Well, anxiety makes more sense. Stress is just it's like a catch-all.
Yes, but I never thought I was an anxious person, and then I realised that I was actually, when Steve died, I realised I was very anxious, and I've worked quite hard since then to bring my anxiety levels down, and I feel much better for it.
What have you done to do that?
Just be aware of how I feel all the time and what's causing it, and examine what's causing it, and then remove those things from my life.
Yes. So actually they might be the two you're going to talk about next. 5, return to the simplicity of nature, and 9, slow down. Shall I go first with mine? Number 6 is the one I've chosen first, which is put distance between you and your critics. So I don't like criticism or even much feedback, as you know. I don't criticize my clients, I build them up. I offer an opinion if they ask me, but I'm never wedded to whether or not they take any notice. Only I'm interested in that it helps them make up their own minds. And in the sense of this being one of the 12 steps to simplicity, how is criticism going to help to encourage anyone to achieve anything at all? When a younger woman, I used to read all the critics of restaurants and films and plays in the broadsheet newspapers and think I was well informed. And then I realised a couple of things, which is I often liked the creative output, which critics didn't. And also that criticism is far easier than doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I've written here, get up and have a go, why don't you, instead of sitting on your arse looking at clever at your typewriter. We can all be a critic. In fact, I often say it's one of our most highly developed faculties. But these days I think, well, what do I know? Each to their own. I'd rather somebody had a go and got better by doing than popped up and were terrified of criticism, so never popped up again. Still, steer clear of the critics. It'll make your life easier, as my old mate Wayne says. I think this is a good one, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very emotionally messy when you feel criticised, isn't it?
Yes, you feel attacked, which puts you on the defensive, which means you're going to attack back. And that's
I think you can do. I think perhaps some people are more robust to it than I am.
Well, social media is full of people criticising each other for their actions, for their views, for everything at the moment. And the worst thing is, it's criticism that's come. What's the word I'm looking for? It's based on nothing.
Well, it's opinion.
It's opinion, absolutely.
Yes,
it's not based on anything particular.
Well, that's why when I offer my clients an opinion because they've asked me, I'm never wedded to whether they follow it or not, because it's just an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, my brand new client, the really exciting one.
Yes.
He said to me today, I'd like to send you my first podcast interview to listen to and give me any tips. I said, I'm absolutely 100% convinced it's going to be brilliant.
Yes.
And it's even if I had any tiny comments, you really shouldn't take any notice of them, because unless you can be 100% authentic in the moment, in the flow, in the enthusiasm, you can't be thinking about, I mustn't say that, or I should do that differently. Just go for it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice at that stage, and that's exactly the point, isn't it? Get up and have a go and get better by doing.
Yes, exactly. Good. Okay, so
yes. So your next one. Let me tell you what your next one is. It's number 5. Return to the simplicity of nature.
Yes, and I learned that when I went to Greece, because in Greece there was 2 supermarkets, and we never went to the second one. There was 2 beaches. We mainly went to the first one. It was winter, so nothing was open. So there was about 5 tavernas, and I absolutely loved it. The lack of choice. And
no. Return to the simplicity of nature.
I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because what a lack of choice does for you is it gives you time to spend doing things that you're too busy to do the rest of the time, like look at the sky, look at the mountains, look at the sea. And I just really slowed down, which comes to one of the other ones. What number was that?
Your next one, number 9.
It forced me to slow down, and I absolutely loved it. And the beauty of nature around me was the most healing thing that I could have done at the time. It was amazing.
I do think that choice is exhausting.
It is, completely.
Yeah. Well, and doesn't necessarily improve our experience.
No. The minute there's more than 3 of anything, I start to get overwhelmed.
Well, I think 3 is a good number.
It's entrepreneur's favourite number.
Is it? Doesn't surprise me. I quite like a 7, but not in choices.
No, God, that's far too many.
No, I'm saying not in choices, just as a number. I like 7.
In fact, this 12 steps to simplicity is 9.
It's quite. And I think it's rather too long, to be honest. I think 10 would have been better, even 9.
Yeah, but 9's divisible by 3, and we've picked 3 each. So
and also look, 12 step to simplicity. It's got 12. It's got a nice alliteration.
Yes, exactly. What's your second one?
My second one is 10 and 11 combined in a rather Nicola Cairncross-esque way, actually. I normally don't allow that sort of thing. 10, do everything you can to eschew debt. 11, make an attempt to free yourself from placing a price tag on everything you have and do. And the reason I've picked both of them is because I think they're interconnected. So I saw them as intertwining. I've been in debt for most of my adult life, and it's been a terrible burden. This is about my date of birth again, 1955, because I've had 2 recessions, property crashes, accounting clients going bust and owing me fees, becoming a waspy woman, unrealistic service charges on buy-to-let flats. The list is endless. And it does mean you have to become very financially savvy about putting price tags on things you do and have within reason. So pursue your financial goals with all you've got. But abundance lies in the second one. Free yourself from placing a price tag on everything you have and do. Not everything has a price tag. For instance, have you ever seen a program on the television called Billions with
Yes.
What's his name? What's his name?
I don't know, but he's lovely.
Yes, no, I know him. Anyway, he was in Homeland, and he's married to Helen McCrory, and his name is Damien
Yes.
Lewis. Right. Now, in that program, Damien's character, Axe of Axe Capital, he believes that you can buy everything. And then in the current series, number 5, he's bought an artist, which my artist clients will be interested in. And the artist, of course, doesn't like it at all. He's put him in a cage and he's made him paint exclusively for him. And the artist is not thriving under those conditions. But the point is, he believes in that program. It's a general belief in that program that everything and everyone can be bought. I don't hold to that belief. And conversely, I don't believe that my clients should give it all away and be scared to charge for their output and their gifts. So there is a correlation between these two, but I think it's possible to find a balance, and I see people doing it every day. But 10 and 11 are good advice. Avoid debt, but don't be obsessed with the price of everything.
The thing I love, I've come to this eschew debt myself more and more as time's gone on, because my kids have no debt at all. They, thanks to Steve, they buy their cars, take driving lessons, the big expenses that people go into debt for.
Yes, lovely. Just the right sum of money at the right stage of life, actually.
Yeah, and not enough to stop them working or anything.
No, quite.
But enough to do lots of good things.
Useful things, yeah.
The thing is that every day that goes, I say to them, every day that goes past that you're not going into debt is one more day that your money's working harder for you.
Well, and also freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And nobody's got anything over you.
No.
And it's really interesting how it's worked, because, their dad and I were in debt for a long time.
Yeah.
And struggled with it. And now I've got a company credit card that I pay off as quickly as I possibly can.
Well, I think you've got to. My company credit card is cleared every month.
Yeah, and
I don't have a choice with company credit cards.
Well, mine would have been, except that six grand that people owed me and didn't pay me. So I have a little bit now, but I'm getting rid of it as quick as I possibly can, because it is freedom. It really is.
It is freedom. And back to the point again, freedom and simplicity, we're seeing them as the same thing very much.
Yeah, very much so now, yeah.
Can I just say, eschew, wonderful word.
Lovely word, yeah.
Come on, gorgeous word. I nearly passed out with excitement about that word this morning.
Okay, what about?
Yes, I think your next one is number 9, which is slow down.
Well, we've talked a bit about that, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, yeah.
I am someone who does things at full pelt at all times. And even the first time I ever had to slow down was when I was pregnant with Phoebe. I was walking on the road at full tilt as usual, and I was about 2 weeks away from giving birth, and I suddenly thought, good God, I've got no breath in my body.
Yeah.
So I had to, for the next 2 weeks, I had to walk very slowly. And
actually, if you only had to walk very slowly for 2 weeks, you did well in that first pregnancy.
No, I was pretty fit on the first time around.
Yeah.
And now I'm finding I'm older and stouter, shall we say, that I set off at a good old clip down Shoreham High Street, and after about just past the co-op as I'm coming to Boots, I run out of breath again. So it's like,
and the funny thing is, setting off at a fair old clip is your personality.
Yes, that's right.
And it's not just your walking style, it's your personality.
And then I grind to a halt a little bit later. It's not continually stimulated. I'm picking up in a car. So I'm learning to slow down in terms of everything, and I'm really quite enjoying it. I mean, lockdown actually has been awful in lots of ways, but in some ways it's been really nice, because it's given us the luxury of slowing down, because we haven't had to be anywhere at any time. We haven't had to be everywhere else, and so I feel the luxury of being able to just go and lie on the bed occasionally, or read a book, or watch a TV show in the middle of the day. Like Staged is particularly good to watch it in the middle of the day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it comes in bite-sized chunks, which is very handy.
Yeah, so I feel that I've been given the gift of more time during lockdown, and that's enabled me to slow down even further. I'll be pretty much slug-like fairly soon.
Well, I don't think just because we've slowed down we need to compare ourselves to a slug. I have this more of an image of a sort of beatific Buddhist, person rather than a slug.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be nicer. And yourself?
Yes, number 12, remember your spirit. Let's see, what have I written here? The older I get, the more important it is. I can't forget my spirit. I won't forget my spirit. I don't want to forget my spirit. It guides everything else. But I didn't get going on this until two things happened. I got into personal development at the age of 37. And I didn't accelerate this spiritual stuff until Wealth Dynamics taught me that I was 50% introvert. And I started to explore what one of my clients calls her inner bird. And that's where your spirit is. It's in that quiet inner place. And when Karen was here yesterday and we were comparing God with spirituality, only in a minor way, because she's very forgiving. She doesn't try to convert me to God or anything. But we had that connection in a way, even though her tends to the biblical. And I was telling her about Jordan Peterson and how much he quotes the Bible without being religious. And she wrote it down very nicely, and obviously was going to go off and do it. But remember your spirit. I can't forget it, and I don't want to. Don't want to. Can't forget it anymore. I'm not sure I had any awareness of that for the first 37 years of my life. There you go.
No.
And actually, my dad died when I was 37, so maybe that was a trigger when you see people die and you know they're not there anymore, but you have a sense of them still being somewhere. Maybe that was the trigger. I don't know.
That's right. You feel their spirit can't just.
You do.
Get very curious about stuff like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to make a suggestion. When I put this in the show notes, if any of the listeners want to put in the group, the ones we haven't done, which are 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, whatever. They can work them out. Yeah, they can only be 6. 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9. There we go. If any of the listeners think they're important, would like to share their thoughts about that in the group, I'd love to read it.
Yeah, discussion points. We have quite good discussions in the group, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. So what is your word of the week?
It's unique. Going back to that Tut thing, the girl can't help it. And I'm going to glory in it now for a bit because Tut says I can. Well, if you think about it as well, Nicola, we are unique.
Ah, very good.
Aren't we?
We're all unique, yes.
Yeah, we are.
Very good. I don't have one, so...
Why shall I give you a word? Because I nearly swapped unique for eschew after I'd seen it.
Yeah, I would love that word. That would be great.
There you go. I've given you eschew.
That means avoid, swerve round, pass over completely, miss out.
Yes. It does.
Swerve, in other words.
Swerve. Nice word. Let's swerve into project updates.
Yeah, again, I was really struggling here, but I thought I'd give you I've got 30 people signed up for my 5-day challenge.
Nice.
Which is not bad at all, considering I haven't used any ads. It's all been organic, and I've only done 1/6 of what I was supposed to do. Which tells you that 6 times, what's 6 times 3? 80? 180 people could have been could have been encouraged to join, but I'll work much harder on it because it's quite a lot of extra work and I can always do better next time.
Oh, I think 30 people who get a better result out of because they've got closer attention to you is much better than a higher number where they don't feel the connection.
I like that because only it's the Pareto principle. Only 20% of them will get engaged.
Well, let us see, Nicola.
All right, okay.
Let us see, said the blind man who couldn't see at all.
Yes. So that's really it. I mean, I have been analysing scenes from my novel, but not as assiduously as I would have liked to have done. I've done bugger all this week, in fact.
Well, it's only been 3 days, that's why, darling.
Yeah, true. What about yourself?
Well, as I told you, on the recce, I found this lovely place to work next week, so I'll be taking the luxury of time to finish off this future planning module. It's been so long since I've done any work on it, I'll need to recap, but I noticed they had at least one printer in the house. I'll be able to do that properly, correcting typos as I go and printing out the whole project at the end in a PDF. Very nice.
Do you feel that what you've done so far has given you insights and changed you in any way?
I'll need to review it because it's at least a month since I've looked at any of it. Yeah. Yes, I felt that at the time. I can feel the memory of feeling that at the time, but I want to finish it off. And you're allowed to go back and, like writing a novel, you're allowed to go back and edit and alter until you go, right, that's it, I've done it. And like a painting, like the artists do, we're rushing through so we can get the format of it, not rushing through, but, pressing on. But actually I'll be able to review the whole lot and not perfect it, but get it to a place where I'm very happy with it.
Just for the benefit of the listener, we're talking about Jordan Peterson's self-authoring
project, yes, which is available on his website for the princely sum, I think $29. Share half of it with a friend.
Very reasonable.
Total bargain. Yeah.
And I looked at it and didn't dare do it because I thought I'd uncover too much. So I wouldn't be able to.
One day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, who or what's impressed then?
Oh, I couldn't think of a single thing. So I'm going with me because I've done these 3 monster days back to back with late and sleepless nights, and yet I've crammed everything in until this morning when I had to ask you for 3 hours off work. But it all got done, which reminds me of what I say to my clients. What has to get done always gets done.
I would like to point out to the listener that I am actually still in my nightie here at 1:39.
Oh, if I thought that was been all right at 10 o'clock this morning, I would have been in my nightie as well. But I wanted to get up and have a shower and a cup of coffee before, and I just couldn't do it today.
Well, unfortunately, I've discombobulated my routine, and not a complaint at all. And you're very welcome to do it. And I'm really happy to change the time, etc.
I'd like to consider it for a bit, because whilst I'm going through these stressy, exhaustive times and not sleeping a lot until like between 5 and 8 in the morning, the thought that I have to get up for 10 for you is like exhausting. And I've already done my gratitudes for tomorrow, which is I'm so pleased that Nicola is so flexible when I can't make it for 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes I can't do it. And it's not that I don't want to talk to you or talk to the listeners. I love doing this podcast. It's just like, I can't get out of bed.
Well, no, I understand, and I'm very happy to. We only did it at 10 o'clock in the morning because it was 12 o'clock.
Oh, we were both busier. That's why. Yes, and it was 12 o'clock in stupor. You're absolutely right.
To get down the beach by 1.
Yeah. So we could go to 1 maybe, could we?
We could. That would be perfect for me.
Yeah, I think 1 is lovely. Yeah, all right. Now tell me what's impressed you. Got one?
Okay, well, this is very exciting. Brace yourself. Our new person, Brett Weinstein.
Oh, yes.
Well, you know, I watched that Joe Rogan episode 1494.
I might do that this afternoon now you've mentioned it again.
I would. It's thoroughly enjoyable. And at about the 2-hour mark, he starts talking about his vision for a different American political system.
Oh.
And he comes up with, I'm not joking, a brilliant idea.
Okay.
And he outlays it to Joe, and Joe really likes it. And I won't spoil it for you. But,
no, okay.
But then I happened to catch... I think I'm subscribed to him on YouTube or something now, or Twitter. Anyway, he was on the Tucker something show.
Carlson?
Yes.
I don't know who he is, but I just knew that word came next. Isn't that odd?
He's very, very famous. And he's on a right-wing channel, Fox News. I think it's right-wing. And he is very outspoken. And actually, sometimes I agree with what he says, and sometimes I totally disagree with what he says, because I'm a bit centrist.
But that's okay, you see.
Yes, no, absolutely. But he had Brett Weinstein on announcing the launch of his new Unity 2020 party, which is what he'd outlined on Joe Rogan. And he's obviously been encouraged to go for it. And he's
now, is there a clue in the title, Unity?
Well, it's such a radically different idea.
And do you think he's got time to make it work by November?
Well, he says if there's a groundswell of enthusiasm and opinion on social media, they could make it work by November.
Somewhere else I read this morning that somebody else said, I think a third party will sweep in.
Well, that would be absolutely wonderful, because his idea is genius. Go and he's put up the manifesto on Medium. So if you just search #Unity 2020, you can read the whole... it's a mission statement I prefer rather than manifesto. Anyway,
I like it. When it comes to politics, I like a manifesto myself.
Well, I can't believe I'm so interested in politics all of a sudden, and politics of a different country as well.
Well, exactly. That's quite weird. It's because they're the masters of the universe.
And do you know what? The same thing that he's suggesting would work brilliantly in the UK.
Oh, yeah, so because anywhere where we're all trapped in this 50-50 nonsense.
Absolutely.
We've got to break the deadlock, haven't we?
We have got to break the deadlock, and this would be a very effective way of doing it. So
yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Exciting.
I would like to say now, I'd like to make a prediction. I don't think he'll do it for 2020, but he might do it for 2024.
Yes. Well, you know, social media means words.
Yeah, but you're changing people's minds is a slow process. Think of what we know about early adopter curves, and you know, it's just you and me in the early adopter curve, and then everybody else catches up later on, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, maybe people in the middle fold their arms and go, well, let's have a look at this then, and they wait for it to work before they pile in.
Well, the two people he's chosen, because it's a 2-person job.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
He chose one person who was already in the presidential race anyway, and I'm very keen on, because he's very crypto friendly. And the other one.
Do you know who he is?
Yes, Andrew Yang.
Right.
And the other one is a serving military man of high repute who could be just told yes.
Do you remember his name?
No, I don't off the top.
No, the Americans love a military person, though.
They do, and I think, you know, anyway, I'm giving too much away now. Go and check it out yourself.
Yes, I will. I'll probably do it this afternoon, although my neph's coming round. But I wanted to do it when you mentioned it on Monday, but it's 3 hours, isn't it? Every time somebody sends me a video, I think, oh, it's a bit like when they ask me to review their books. Could you just send me the time with it as well? You know?
Well, let me tell you now, right now, for the listeners. At about 55 minutes, it gets very interesting, even more interesting, because they start talking about what's happening with the riots and racism and the state of, the COVID thing. And at just about the 2-hour mark, that's when he starts talking about this new idea for a new
Yeah, I know. You see, it's not a difficulty for me to be interested for 3 hours. It's a difficulty for me to find an extra 3 hours in my life. But I will.
I chop it up now. I do it in 30
But
minutes.
it's still 3 hours, however you chop it up, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Worth it though on this one.
Well, that's good. Good job. Our television programs are down at 12 and 15 minutes. If we need 3 hours to watch a YouTube video,
That's true. Okay, good. That's us done.
All right.
I'll see you next week at 1 o'clock.
You will, and I'll be in East Sheen.
Okay, lovely.
All right. See you then. Yeah.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.